Hi everyone, it's Sienna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a very special video for you guys. I've been getting a lot of comments and requests to film a video that I can sit and talk about why I'm still kind of in Korea and some of the good things that I like about being here. Please bear with me today. I have a little sore on the inside of my mouth. You know when you bite the same specific place like 5 times when you're eating? 3 days ago, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So it's a little bit bloated and it's kind of difficult for me to talk. It's still kind of painful, but I wanted to make this video, so please bear with me. The topic that I'm going to touch on today is some of the reasons why I like being here. Try to bear in mind as you guys continue to watch my videos that I'm going to be talking about my own experiences. So what I experienced, you might have not experienced. What you experienced, I might have not experienced. Let's try to be more understanding and not completely invalidate their own experiences as well. Just because you didn't experience it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen all around the world. I've also been getting comments from certain people that are kind of calling me out, being like, if you hate Korea, why are you still here? Or I thought you hated Korea. I realized that at the end of the day, I am Korean, so it's really important to me to be here and to stay in touch with my culture and to appreciate my roots. I found that was very, very important because I don't want to be whitewashed, even though I feel like I'm not completely whitewashed, but I'm not completely Korean. I feel like that's just my life. I feel like a lot of international students or people that grew up in an international school can relate, where you feel like you don't belong to a certain culture. You're kind of all over the place. So that's how I feel. I don't really expect anyone to understand, but I hope you guys can watch with an open heart. I just didn't really think that I needed to touch on things I love about Korea video because there's so many available. And just because I tell you guys certain things about Korea that isn't positive all the time doesn't mean I hate the country. If I hated the country, I would have left already and I would have gone somewhere else. But no country is perfect, and Korea is an amazing country. But I just made that video so that it can be more informational to you guys. A lot of people don't really talk about things in a very open manner, and I just compiled everything into one video. So I do understand if some of you thought that I am completely bashing my own country, but that's not it at all. I love being Korean. I hope more people can talk about certain issues and just have conversations, because that's when change is going to happen. It is serious issues, and it does really bring down your mental health. Now I'm going to talk about some of the things that I love about Korea. This is coming from a perspective of someone that is Korean, that lived abroad. I lived in Singapore, Thailand, and Canada. First thing that I absolutely love about living in Korea is that everything is so affordable. Living expenses, I love Daiso. Have so many cute things. I love interior decorating. There's so many people living on their own here, so I feel like there's more people that are interested in interior design and decorating. It's so cheap to eat out. I've been doing that every day. I briefly mentioned this in my culture shocks that I went through in Canada video, but I was so shocked that in Canada it's so expensive to eat out. Even if it's not a 5-star restaurant, for you to eat out. I was craving Korean food a lot, so I would go to Korean restaurants and it would leave me with a $50 bill. In the beginning when I went to Canada, it's so unnatural for me, and a lot of Asians I bet can relate, for us to leave a tip. There's so many instances where I would get out of a cab and then the taxi driver would shake my hand, and I don't have anything in my hand, so I thought he just wanted to shake my hand. But then I was oh shoot, I forgot, I didn't tip, and I didn't know what was acceptable to leave a tip. I also worked as a waiter, and I know that it sucks not receiving a tip, but here in Korea, what it says on the menu or what it says at a clothing store, that's basically the price that you have to pay most of the time. So that was super convenient. I eat out every single day with my boyfriend, and the two of us, it's literally $20. That's unheard of in Canada. So it's so nice being able to eat out, go to really nice cafes. Some cafes are quite overpriced. Living in Toronto, I had a really hard time looking for housing, and I had a hard time looking for roommates. I noticed that a lot of the houses there was like a 1-bedroom plus den or a 2-bedroom. It was really hard to find studios, or even studios were like $1,600, which was so out of my student budget. And so I had to look for a roommate, and most of the time it was like 3 people living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we would just kind of share the living room space. I saw that was really common, even though it is probably not legal. I was struggling with finding housing. Like, I was paying $1,000 for a tiny little room, and I was like, why don't they have like these little like studio apartments for people that are living alone in Korea? Because here you can find so many studios available for like 300 all the way up to like 1,500. Honestly, realistically, you can get a really nice place for 1,000. If I was in Toronto and someone offered me a place like this for 1,000, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good deal, it's so cheap. But then being in Korea, it's like $1,000 is so expensive. In Toronto, you pay for the whole like condo, but in Korea it's just like a villa. It's run down, it's not very well managed, but still, if you're just gonna use your space to like sleep and eat sometimes, then a lot of people live in these spaces, and it does save a lot of money. So that's really nice that a lot of things are very affordable. I especially love like stationery, all the cute like girly things, and I feel like in Toronto my style changed a lot. I know now like the soft aesthetic is blowing up and there's so many girly girls, but back when I was in Toronto like a couple of years ago, it was still kind of quite rare to find, you know. But in Korea, I feel like it's more accepted to be all like cutesy and girly, and I don't know, I think that's really, really cute. You can find cute stationery and just really cute clothes at a really affordable price, which I love. Next point that I'm going to talk about, so many people talk about it. It is incredibly safe in Korea. I grew up in Singapore, and Singapore is also really, really safe. Now being to America, Canada, and some places in Thailand, I'm like, yeah, no, this is a really safe country. Things do happen, but as long as you avoid like the nightlife, and like if you go out, just be careful when you go clubbing. But apart from that, which is like you gotta be careful anywhere you go in the world. Walking alone, you're pretty safe. In Toronto or in LA, I was walking around late at night, just like thinking it's gonna be the same as Korea, but there's so many homeless people just swung at me and my friend when we were taking a walk at 8 p.m. and that was terrifying. It was just like violent attacks for no reason. So in Korea, I've never had that happen. Go to the convenience store at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and grab a snack, and like you don't feel threatened. You don't feel threatened for your life. And if you go to cafes to use the washroom, you can literally leave your MacBook, your purse, your wallet just like there on the table, and it's going to be there after. So when I hear sometimes about people's cars being stolen and things, and like bicycles being stolen, I'm like, what? Like that actually happens? Sometimes when we go to a cafe and then we're looking for like an empty seat, and we see one empty seat in a really full cafe, like you want to mark your spot, right? Usually if people see that there's something on the table, they're like, okay, that place, there might be someone sitting there, so they don't sit there. So, you know, we put a cardigan there or a bag there. Sometimes my friend would literally just put their wallet there. And obviously I have to mention this if I'm talking about Korea, is that we have a very fast delivery and a very fast customer service. Delivery, you can order something, like I order all my groceries online. You can pick what time and what day you want it delivered, because you want your vegetables and stuff to be fresh. So you can pick like 6 a.m., like 8 p.m. You can pick the time. There's a thing as like rockets shipping, so you can get things like within a day. The delivery man would leave your groceries and stuff like outside of your doorstep, and no one takes your delivery. Corridor of my apartment building, there's so many water bottles and other groceries or other like delivery stuff just like outside of their doors, and no one touches it. There's CCTV everywhere, so we don't even try. Public humiliation is a pretty big thing here. Obviously no one wants to be publicly humiliated. Another thing that I love is the fast service here. Fast customer service is something that I really, really like and appreciate. I think I'm a pretty impatient person, so when I need something done, I need to do it super quickly. I've literally never had to wait in line on the phone for over like 5 minutes. Usually if there's a long lineup, they will tell you there's a long lineup, leave us your number, and then, or it'll be connected to your Kakao, so you can shoot them a question through Kakao, and then they'll call you back when they have time. Everything is digital, so you don't get mail. Like I remember when I was in Toronto, I had such a hard time because whatever important thing that I need to get done with the government, something should be delivered by mail in a couple of days, and I'm like, I already moved away from that house. That was so frustrating. But here it's like everything is digital. You can check it online. super quick, super efficient. I love it. Another reason why I like being here and living here in my 20s is that there is no racism here. When I say there's no racism, I mean there's no racism towards me because obviously I'm Korean. I would visit America a lot because I had friends there, and just walking around, like, you would hear remarks like ching chong, and you constantly felt like you were an outsider. And I guess that's how Americans feel when they are in Korea, because I talked about it in my last video that there is a bit of racism in Korea. So I understand how that feels. And then going to Toronto, most of the time I didn't experience like racism there because I speak English. So if anything, they would be surprised that I speak English, and then we'd just have a whole conversation about Korea. But I did face discrimination, like getting a job, for example. But I mean, there's ups and downs. Like, I really liked living in Toronto. That just comes with moving to a new country that you're not comfortable in, or moving to a country where you're the minority. Also, as like a Korean person that also spent most of her years living abroad, I do still feel like an outsider sometimes. Another subject that I want to touch on is the nightlife in Korea. I don't go out anymore, but I like how bright everything is, and I like how kind of like the city never sleeps. So if you're really into like the nightlife, I think you would have a really fun time here. But it's also, Koreans work super hard, the hours are long, and there's a lot of work hard, play hard. The nightlife doesn't have to specifically be the drinking culture. You know, just restaurants being open until pretty late at night. If you walk around, a lot of stores remain open until late at night. What was really hard for me to adjust to in Canada was how early everything closed. The next thing I love about being here is the amount of influencers and how they're not really looked down upon. Like, they're so welcomed. You don't even have to be an influencer. You can just like want to walk around and take pictures and just vlog for yourself. Before I came to Korea, I would feel so self-conscious taking a picture or carrying around my tripod. Usually I would ask someone else to take a photo of me and my friends if I was traveling. But then in Korea, I did do that in the beginning, but then after a while, once I started traveling to more places, I realized a lot of people just carry around tripods, and they have like the portable one, so you can put it in your bag, and it looks so convenient, and no one judges you. No one's like, ew, like, what is she doing? Cafes or at really pretty restaurants, you'll see people lining up at like the photo zones and taking selfies, taking pictures. I don't care about what the other people think. Around Gangnam, I don't know what it is around Gangnam. I'm going to make a whole other video about it, but there's a lot of streamers. There's a lot of men with those like lights and vlogging camera and their tripod, and they're like walking around talking to themselves, interacting with the fans and the viewers, and like trying to get people to join their interview. But it's like crazy. It's just so many things happening at once. At this point, it's so embodied into our culture that it's not something weird. And there's obviously so many cute places to go to. There's so many cafes, especially during COVID. I think more people were trying to find like secluded and bigger cafes to go to. So there's so many around Gyeonggi area. That's outside of Seoul. But even in Seoul, there's so many cute cafes to visit. Every single week, there's new cafes and new places that I want to visit. If you didn't feel single before, if you come to Korea and if you are single, you're going to feel 10 times more single. It's not very hard trying to look for something new to do each week, because there's always new events popping up, there's always new cafes coming up, and it's just really fun to go cafe hopping. There's just so many things to do, there's just so many things to eat and consume. So that's just one thing to look out for, is that for you to go cafe hopping or restaurant hopping, you need to go to a restaurant or a place and order like one thing and then go to a different place. So there's so many cute things to do as couples. You can make rugs, ceramic painting, you can make plates, you can paint. There's endless things to do that is really focused on healing ourselves. I'm sure you guys know about this, but Korea also has really cute and clean convenience stores. There's convenience stores like every block probably. You've probably seen, whether it's 7-Eleven, GS25, or CU. Those are the main ones. So many drinks, snacks, ramen food to choose from, and it's not dirty food. Like, it's actually really good food, and you can even have lunch there, breakfast there, or dinner there, or have a late night snack there. It's super safe, it's not sketchy at all, and usually they have a microwave and hot water, so you can make food at the convenience store and just eat ramen sitting in the convenience store. They don't charge you extra for that. If you're on the go and you have like 30 minutes to consume a ramen or something, then there's a lot of people just by themselves at a convenience store eating. So if you haven't tried eating at a convenience store in Korea, I highly suggest it. I did a video on this recently where my boyfriend and I went to a convenience store late at night, and then we had ramen and we drank. It was so nice. Another thing that I love about living in Korea is the medical healthcare system. I don't know where you guys are from. I don't know how it works in other countries. I lived in Canada before. In Canada, they have an amazing medical system as well, so I'm not going to compare those two. However, I did notice that if you are a foreigner, it is definitely harder for you. The first week that my boyfriend arrived to Korea, he cut his hand and he had to get stitches. But this happened like on a Sunday or something, like late into the night, and we had to rush around trying to look for an emergency room, but no one would take us in because he was a foreigner, and then he was supposed to be in quarantine during that time, but it was like literally like the last day of quarantine. It was late into the night, and then it was just super complicated. They had to find another quarantining like area for him, but they didn't have it, so we hopped around Seoul. We went to like 5 different emergency rooms. We ended up even going to a women's hospital, and then they were like, no, sorry, we only accept pregnant women. And it was very stressful. And then this one hospital accepted us, but he didn't have insurance, and then we're like, oh shoot, like what's going to happen? Luckily he had a traveler's insurance from Canada, so he was able to get it reimbursed later on. That was another stressful thing. We basically had to like wait outside, and they said like maybe another 6 hours, so then we ended up just going home, and then we got it treated the next day at a different hospital. Thankfully we got treated right away. If you are traveling, you definitely need to be careful about that, or you need to have traveler's insurance from your own country. Okay, and then the very last thing is that there's so many cute shopping areas in Seoul. You can get clothes for really cheap here, and they're all super in style. If you go to underground areas like around Gangnam or Hongdae, just like street shopping or underground shopping is very big here, and you can get things for really cheap. And also for like makeup as well, it's so cheap. I don't like going out now because everywhere I go it's like temptations are everywhere. But if you want to buy a souvenir for your friends, or if you want to buy new cute makeup or clothing, I definitely recommend just like shopping in Korea. So that concludes my video about some of the things why I love living in Korea. As you can tell, I'm still here. I have a very complicated life story. When I made that video saying like, oh, this is why I left Korea, I left Korea and then I had to come back because of Corona. Like, during those years, that's when I started connecting. I still stand by the things that I said in my video, but that doesn't obviously mean that I hate living here. So I hope I didn't scare you off with that last video, and I'm going to upload more positive content on my channel and more vlogs so that you can see how much fun it is. And if you ever feel like you need someone to talk to, you can always shoot me a DM. If you have any questions, you can message me at Sienna Hong on Instagram. Don't forget to leave a like to this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos. It really helps me out a lot, and I'm so thankful for all the support that I've been getting lately. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!